All right, so this is exercise 3. So the first thing we're going to do is name it exercise 3. So it's go ahead and do save as and change it from squash person to your last name, your first name, and then EX3. Remember, always keep that .psd. Pay attention to where you're saving it. Now, since it's a demo, I'm going to put in your period 2. I'm doing P4. You guys don't need to do that. So I recommend, if you haven't done this already, adjust your layers so that you can see what's on them. How do you do that? You go up here to the little layer options, you go to panel options, and you choose layer bounds. That makes the picture fill up the little layer thumbnail so you can see. So what this one is it's kind of a squash version of Mr. Potato or Mrs. Potato Head. And you're going to use all these food items, vegetables, pastas, fruits, to create your own little squash person. This one is actually easier than exercise 2. Doesn't take as long. But it is more of the same. It's more cutting stuff out. So first, I would do fit on screen, view, fit on screen, so you can see everything nice and big. And because we're doing all of this particular one on the same file, it's going to be a little different when we cut stuff out. Now, the easy way to cut all the things with the white background is the magic wand. And the trick, though, is you do need to make sure that you are on the right layer. And let's see, I managed to close my layers. Let me go get them again. Also, if you do manage to close something, Window, Workspace, and Reset. So I'm going to say Reset Photography so I get my layers back here. So first I'm going to just make sure I'm on the right layer. I'll go ahead and do the caret first. So with the command key down, I get the move arrow. I can click on it. Now it's selected the caret layer. Then I'm just going to magic wand the white background. I'm going to hit the delete key. I'm going to right click and say deselect. Then I'm going to command click the grapefruit, and I'm going to magic wand the white again and hit delete. Then I'm going to right click and say deselect. Then I'm going to command click the radishes. I'm going to grab the white, hit delete, right click, deselect. So we just took care of the ones that are more the easy ones. These other ones aren't very hard either. But the one thing to know about is when you go to grab the object itself, which I would do in the case of all of these because they have shadows. So I'm going to go and use quick select, and I'm going to grab, for instance, I'm going to command click to make sure I'm on the right layer. Then I'm just going to go and grab that pear tomato. Now, one thing that happens, and this is common, this is what people do, they grab it and they move it, but then notice the scrap is left, right? So if I deselect this, I'll do Command D, and I go to move it around, it's connected. Now I can get rid of it. I'm just going to use the rectangle marquee, this one, and I'm going to draw just around it, just a little bigger than I really need, and then I'll hit delete, and then I can deselect. So, or here's another way to do it, probably the easier way to do it, is once you grab the object, you go to this little button, select and mask. Remember we used that for the grizzly bear? You click into it, and then you get this little panel, right? And you can adjust. I could smooth the edge, I could shift the edge a little bit, and then I'm going to output to a new layer, like so. Now it's our, there's no scraps because it got rid of them. It put the pear tomato on its own layer. Another way to do this, let me grab a different fruit or vegetable. Let's go ahead and do the mushroom. So another way is you can use the inverse of the selection. What do I mean by that? Well, if I select this mushroom, I could do it the way that I just did. I could do select and mask, but here's another way. You go select, inverse, and that's going to grab everything but the mushroom on that layer. When you do this, you have to be sure you're on the right layer or you're going to delete one of your fruits or vegetables, so be careful. But I'm selecting inverse. Now everything but the mushroom is selected. So I'm making sure I'm on the right layer. I'm going to hit delete, and now I can deselect. Once again, I can command click and get that kiwi. And then I could do the inverse and delete, or I could also select and mask. I might smooth this out a little. I might shift the edge so it's a little bit tighter, a little bit smaller, just so there's no background pixels. I'm going to output to a new layer and say OK. Then I'm going to command click on the blueberry, and I'll grab that blueberry, and once again I'm going to select and mask. I'm going to smooth it out, shift the edge a little, and output to a new layer. And finally, the bow tie. The bow tie is one that Quick Select doesn't really do a very good job on. So what I recommend for that particular one is the polygonal lasso. And basically, you can make the little zigzag edge by drawing it with the lasso. And you're going to just go all the way around. So it does take a little bit of time to do this. And then we're going to go all the way around. To the other side. And then come around. And so now once again I could go ahead and select inverse and then hit delete. I do want to make sure I'm on the bow tie layer. Or I can do the select and mask option, and I can smooth out the selection a bit. I might shift the edge just a little. And then I'm going to go ahead and output to a new layer. Okay, so next I'm going to figure out what kind of a squash person I want to make. And there's no right or wrong, really. Just do whatever you want. So I'm going to make a smiley person, I think. Option drag is that fast way to copy. And if you need to flip, it's edit, transform, flip horizontal, or flip vertical. So it's just, you know, make them however you want. And arrange their order as needed. Now the last part of this is basically you're going to link your squash person together. So looking at my layers here, I've got some layers that I'm not using, right, because of the way that I did the selections using that select and mask. So I can throw away the ones where the eyeball's off on all of those that I did that way, just to not have a bunch of extra layers that aren't being used. And then to link, you want to grab them all. So to grab them all, click the top one and then scroll down to the bottom. I'm not going to grab that hidden background one though, just all the fruits and vegetables that I used. Now I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to click the very bottom vegetable, the mushroom. So all of them are selected now, and then to link them I'm going to click the little link chain, and now when I go to move this squash person, all of it's going to move. The very last part of